Hey, how's it going? Hello.
Hello.
Hello. How's it going?
I'm fine. How are you?
Great. Are you you're with Fast Travel, is that right?
Yes, that's me.
Oh, super cool. Yeah, I'm the host
Michael.
here. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Look forward to chatting more about your game.
Look forward to hearing more about all of this.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, I can hear you now.
We've only been doing this
Hey guys.
about a month now. We launched this, so
Oh,
we're just
how are
getting
you
going,
doing?
but it's been really fun.
Hey, I'm
Nice.
fine. How are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you.
Awesome.
Hey, Michael.
Everybody's good.
Robin,
I feel the energy.
Slapstick.
Hey, Justin.
Hey Justin.
How are you guys?
Justin.
Yeah, good, thanks. How are you?
Fantastic. Booths are looking good today.
Yeah, we've got new booths
Yeah.
and a new email me button. So if you click on people's heads, you can now email bags.
Oh, cool.
Oh, cool.
Oh, hey Justin.
Hey, how's it going?
It's going
But I
fine.
think maybe, Michael, you
Welcome
don't
in.
have your email set up because
thanks for coming.
it's grayed out for me. So
Yeah.
it
Maybe
should work
I
once
will
you've
have
added
This
your email.
is a nice
1
space.
second.
I like
Oh,
it.
thanks very much. Yeah, it's like
No, I do have
it's
it
the
set
VR
up.
city.
Oh, that's strange.
Yeah, for me it's
Not
also
letting
grayed
me-
out.
Very
Hey
special.
Tony,
It's
Hey.
your account.
how you doing?
It's Michael. Okay, I would try to save again. Maybe that will help.
So,
Working for Roberts. I can
Doing
get
well.
Robert to email me.
Tony,
Yeah.
I'm seeing email
Is
me
that
grayed
right?
out for some people.
Hello.
Hey, Robert, how are
Robert.
you?
How you doing?
I don't know.
So
Yeah,
for
fine. How are you?
Valentine and for Decage,
Doing
I
good
don't
as
have
well.
the email me option. For
Excellent.
you, I can email me.
Yeah, I get it on same people.
Robin, do I have a picture in my profile?
It might be.
Yes, you
I
do.
don't
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Working pretty good.
Hey,
How's it going?
I'm good. Bit tired.
Now we can compare
Yeah.
avatars to profile
What,
pictures,
is
see
it
how accurate
10
they
p.m.
are.
over by you?
Yeah, it's 10 p.m.
Can you
Okay.
send me a picture
Yeah.
in
So it's
Discord
fine.
of a screenshot of that?
Well, we can
I'm
definitely
curious
get
how
to
that looks
yours
like.
first, in case you get
Yeah, okay, hang on.
a little
The
sleepy
website
by the
says
end.
side quest
That'd
link
be
must be a
great.
valid URL. If I try to put in a Discord
like
link
your,
that's not valid.
Your avatar's got a cool like shadow type shirt. Almost
Yeah,
looks like
I saw it in the avatar selection and it's like, fits the theme.
kind of yeah,
of-
fits your
so yeah,
yeah, fits it very well.
figure why not.
Indeed, it does fit very well.
Hey Robert, how's it going?
Good.
Hey, Mel, welcome in.
Ah,
Hey, yo.
Hey man, hi Chris.
awesome. Let's see. Where did Babatunde go?
He was just
Hey,
here.
Chris.
Oh, he's over there.
Hey, how's it
So,
going?
Chris, Chris, if you look at me, if you point at me and click, do you see an option to email me?
Yep. I see.
You do. For some reason, I can't do it for you. We're still figuring that out.
Maybe I haven't said it.
I think it's a dependency on email.
But in what sense? I mean, doesn't everyone have an email to sign up?
Uh,
Yep.
Perhaps.
No, we had to.
Because I don't have an email, but that wouldn't quite
don't
make
have an
sense for
email?
this.
You don't have one.
Well,
In what format
not
is the
survive.
Discord link to be? Because I can't see.
technology.
Oh no, you know what it is? It's their about. Their about isn't set.
oh, I see. So there's
So
nothing
if
to
you-
send.
Correct.
Hey Tony.
Can you check me if my email link is now visible?
It's still not there.
Still not
It's
there?
grayed
Did
out.
you
Grayed out.
did you just update it?
But I did just set the about.
Hey Babatunde.
You updated the about?
Should I log out and log in maybe?
Yeah, you need to log out and back in.
Oh,
Ah, okay.
hey
No
Tony.
worries, though.
I just got a message from Rome, and I was in here with him earlier this week, and it worked fine. But he said when he tried to get in, it was unstable and kind of freezed up. He's on an Oculus One.
Uh-huh.
Quest 1. Do you think having the additional people is messing that up.
I don't think so. I think Chris is on a quest 1 and he's
I'm
never really
fine.
had any issues.
Okay,
Works.
maybe I'll tell him to just quit and try and get in.
Yeah.
It's the answer for everything.
So, okay, I will receive an email in a couple of minutes from Robin. Robin?
Yes, you should
Yes,
do.
you'll receive an email from the Spatial Ape server with his info.
Oh, okay.
So it's
I
like
thought
getting
you
his
would write
contact.
something nice. Yeah.
He thought he would write something nice.
I can send you an email if you'd like, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a request to get emailed. And
Okay.
we just nudge people and we're like, hey, email this person.
Okay,
Okay, my
let's get
email
a
me
room
button
in
is
here.
still grayed out.
Yep. Your karma is just 11. Maybe you just get email up of karma level 12.
I'm not sure what else I should set, but it works.
Definitely could be a bug on our end.
And
It
I
might
can't,
be
I
set
can't
when
set
we
the
start.
Discord link.
It might be set when we start our sessions. So if I log
Yes.
it out and then back in again, maybe I can get an email from
Well, I
you.
did just log out and log in, and I tried to point it at myself, and I don't see my email button.
Oh,
Do
can
you see
that?
a grayed out
Wow.
email, or is there nothing
Yes,
there
email.
at
It's
all?
great. Yeah, it's grayed out.
Yeah.
It's
You
grayed
can
out.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, you said you shut off the app and
But
turned
mine
off
is
the app?
active, I think. And
Yeah,
yours
it's
is also
working for
active,
yours,
Robin.
Robert. I wonder why.
Robin,
it's
how
not
do you
working.
get 64 karma? Where can I buy karma?
How
On the
can you
black
get
market.
36,714 like Justin?
Yeah,
That
you
must
gotta
be.
offer
definitely
Jesse
hacking.
some money.
I think this is a karma scheme somewhere here. Yeah.
Well, we're gonna
It's
add.
yeah,
We're
Well,
gonna add
Tony had
liking to the
30,000
booth.
as well.
30,700. Wow.
There's definitely
Okay.
some karma
That's a lot of
trafficking going
karma.
on.
Well, should we
Yeah,
get
yeah.
started?
Mm-hmm.
Sure.
Maybe debug this a little bit
There's
later.
Well, it's definitely the not set issue. So I think you have to exit and then come back in. So the issue is the server saving the reference to your about information. So if you quit and you come back in, it should reset it, and then the button should be available.
He
Well, I
just did
did
that.
just quit and tried it, and I'm still not available.
Still nothing.
And I had the email set before the before I
Well,
even
no, it's not
joined.
the email. It's your about.
Yeah.
That's
My,
true.
am I currently? I only have developing via workout, so maybe
Hey, Rome.
does it have
How's
to
it
be more
working?
than a certain number of characters, or
Oh,
No, it's not popping up
Hey,
on
Jesse.
my end.
Hey,
so
Robin.
maybe it's just not
How's it
pulling
going?
correctly.
Yeah, good. How are you?
is there maybe some caging
Good.
going on the server?
Excellent.
It's possible. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's come back to it.
I think
Alright, where are
Arome
we
and
going
Baba
first?
Tunde are both shutting down and trying to get back in. See if that helps at all. Baba
Did they both have
Tunde's
quest
odd-
one?
I believe so. Yeah.
Interesting.
My quest 1 is running fine.
Well, how about we head over to the fast travel booth? We can kind of start there.
Okay.
Sure.
You gonna bring the camera, Tony?
I'm going to fast travel over to.
Awesome. I mean, that's a whole different level of quality and polishing.
We tried.
I feel embarrassed now to show my stuff.
Oh, come on. Yeah, it is a
Yeah, it's got a
beautiful looking
cinematic
game.
quality.
Yeah.
It's amazing what you guys did. It's really cool.
Okay, guys. I want an email from him.
I'm not sure you do.
He seems to be nice.
Well,
He's a creepy guy.
he has some mood swings, to put it lightly.
Seriously. Why is that?
Yeah, he's not really fully effective here, since there are some in-engine VFX stuff that's missing, like animated texture stuff like that. But
Okay.
Still cool to see him, like, I don't know how many meters high.
There needs to be a reason to jump into the game. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Jess, should we give him maybe 30 seconds to?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
What about the colliders? Are we in danger of falling
Yes.
down?
Yes, we're in
Yes.
danger. We are working on it as hard as we can. We made a whole system this week of automated bots so that we can test at scale and try to reproduce it.
All right.
In the meantime, you may fall through the floor.
Okay, guys. So
And if you do, just reset and come back, and we'll apologize.
Got a
Do not
safe
take your
spot.
altitude for granted.
Yeah,
I mean,
get a
it's not
safe
beta
spot.
for anything.
don't be
higher
afraid.
ground.
I'm safe.
Metal is already up on the top, way ahead of the game.
Oh yeah, way
Yeah,
ahead.
good move.
Yeah,
She's
D.
waiting
So
for
we
the
have
t-shirt.
we have an issue where you fall through
Waiting
the
for the
floor
shirt.
about once an hour. We have no idea why it happens, but if you go stand up here on the rafters, like where I am right now, now you're safe.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
Robin, did you notice all the images no longer have any aliasing?
Yeah, I was looking at that. That's really impressive.
What'd you do with that, Tony?
I mapped all the images.
Oh, cool.
Ooh.
Fancy.
Yeah, so like
How
can
did you
look
do
at
the
so much
animation?
better.
Is this like an animated texture or something?
The
video?
The
model?
video, yeah, it's a
Oh, the
render
video, yeah.
texture.
Render
So it's
texture
just
of an
a video
MP4 or
player
what is that?
in Unity. It's an
Ah.
MP4 or an MPV. I can't remember which now, but yeah, something like that.
Okay, I have to try
So
that.
it's
Cool.
a video player components transmitting to a render texture, which is just shown as a animated texture on that wall.
There is a dead spot here.
Mhm. Cool.
Jesse, what's up?
I'm talking to him right now. He says still same issue. He gets in, but then it freezes
How
up.
many polygons does have the zombie? How many? How big is it? size of-
So he just said, "Go ahead without
I
us."
don't know the answer to that.
And they'll keep trying to get in, and if they can't, then
this one is definitely the
we'll work on
quote-unquote
fixing it and
low
try and
version.
have him back at a future week, I guess.
There is a
Okay.
like high
All right.
scope that it was
Yeah, the
based
only thing I would
on.
recommend is
That's-
maybe
Pictures
restarting
and
their
all that stuff like
headset.
that, but
Oh, here.
'Cause
Yeah,
it's
they
definitely
tried
not-
that. It's so weird because it worked flawlessly
I
a
guess
week
it's,
or
it's so dark,
5
it's
days
not-
ago.
It's not really, doesn't really
but that was
damage
just
that
two of
much.
us in here.
How many? Because it looks really
yeah.
good. I mean,
Interesting.
Yeah,
wonder
but
why
happened to
we
Jimmy?
also
Jimmy
have
just-
so few
Jimmy just
enemies
appeared and
like,
disappeared.
characters in the game. That's one time, so we could afford to push it a bit higher than you might in other games. And since like these are the
Oh,
main sources of
He just
movement and life,
appeared.
quote unquote life
Hmm.
in the game,
I don't know. I wondered, did the same
it's-
thing happen to him?
we put a little bit extra in the characters.
I mean,
But
No,
yeah, I
'cause if
don't
you have
know
the
the
old
exact
version
count,
of the app,
unfortunately.
it wouldn't even let you
What
in.
is it called? Shoe lashes?
So
Shoelaces.
that's
Laces.
not it.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
pretty. It's quite high quality.
Who said anything about the old
Yeah,
version?
I'm surprised at how much detail
No,
we
and I'm
have
just thinking why that might be
on
happening.
that.
I
Because
see.
you never really see them up.
How's
Hey,
it going,
like this.
Thomas?
How's it going?
it's funny.
Hey, Justin. Hey, Jesse. Hey, Tony.
Hey, Thomas. Thanks for coming.
Hey.
Yeah, sure. I'll get
Can you make
started.
them trip by
Yeah,
untying
Hey,
yeah,
Thomas.
get started now.
Should yeah, let's just get started,
wish.
Justin. I think.
Cool.
What a cool setup.
Maybe for
Okay, guys.
Hey, Robin.
Sorry to interrupt, but let's just do intros real
Hey.
quick, and then we'll be back to asking questions about Wraith. If that's cool. I think at this point, a lot of us know each other, so I thought it'd be fun to just say your name and one thing you're working on this week. I'll start. So I'm Justin, I'm the host here, and I've been working this week on reaching out to more universities and professors so that top students can feature their work in here, kind of alongside some of the developers, which I think will be real fun. D?
Yeah, so I'm Daniel. Most people just call me DK. I'm game designer at Fast Travel Games. Currently working on secret stuff, new games, the stuff we have coming after Afterlife.
Awesome.
But yeah, excited to launch this on Steam next week. It's already been out for
Awesome.
about a month on Quest, but yeah, that's me.
Cool, Mel.
I'm Melle. I'm working on environment assets right now for our new update. Like full time, it's quite a stressful week. And maybe you checked it out, but I was quoted in the newsletter, and that's
Yeah.
really nice.
Nice. Yeah, thank you as well. So, my name is Robert. I created Traversal. And this week I added a surprise feature, which I didn't plan actually, but it's a new locomotion technique. You can now climb in Traversal, and it will keep your whole play stays intact while you're climbing, and so you still have the impossible worlds. So it's really, really cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah, hi, my name is Michael. I'm developing VR Workout, and after doing the multiplayer stuff last week, I had to start doing the boring stuff, namely user interface design, because my user interface is so crappy that I have to do a lot of work to get it to a state where people will actually use it.
Cool.
Cool. Yeah, my name is Marcel, or Slapstick. I'm an aspiring VR developer. Hopefully, I'm still working on prototypes in a way, and hopefully one day get something done and finished.
Cool. I'm Tony. I'm trying to figure out why we keep falling through the ground. And and also experimenting. Take your time, it's fine. Yeah, also experimenting on some web browsers in here. So
Nice.
I'm Jesse. Along with Outreach with Justin, I am currently in the process of moving out of my apartment in Boston for good, so moving my mattress after this meetup.
Yeah.
Okay.
And Jess is going to move out. Jess is going to move in with me for a month. And we're going to
Yeah.
do nothing except market this app every day. So
Nice.
people in here.
It's the real startup life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, my name is Thomas. I develop a puzzle game called Cubism, and this week I've been working on localizing the game.
Hi everyone, my name is Helen. I'm a video game writer and as well a virtual reality narrative designer. I'm currently working with something called an immersive theater collective to build interactive kind of theater experiences in virtual reality.
Sounds cool. Hey everyone, my name is Robin. I'm working on Grand Reality, and this week I've been working on getting the performances from piano players in the app and packaging them up and putting them, hopefully in the future, in different apps. So maybe next week or the week after, I'll be able to get a piano with a performance in here, and you can watch the hands moving and stuff like that, which would be cool.
Nice.
Awesome.
Nice. That'd be good. Yeah. Jimmy, I'm interested in what we can do in productivity space. I've been playing around in XR lately, a bunch of different web XR programs, and I think there's a lot of interesting activity going on there now. You know, I mean, it's still not as performant as some of the things you can do with Unity, but it definitely has a lot of ties where you can connect different web apps into XR, which is interesting. I'm playing around with that lately.
Cool.
Yeah, hi, I'm Chris, and this week I had something very special to do. I was working on some new meditation methods I could concentrate on when I'm falling through the floor here.
Find your edge, Chris.
Yeah, have to deal with it.
Awesome. Okay. Well, this is going to be totally casual, open. I think everyone here is going to have good questions. So, Dee, do you want to just kick us off and tell us the background of this game and where it comes from?
Yeah, of course. So, Fast Travel Games, we're I used to say small studio in Stockholm, Sweden, but we're now almost 40 people, so we're not so small anymore. This Wraith the Oblivion Afterlife is our fourth game. Previous ones have been Apex Construct, Curious Tale, and we also did Budget Cuts 2 together with Neat Corporation that did the original Budget Cuts. But yeah, as a lot of people have pointed out, we make really different games each time. So the first one was this action adventure game with robots and bows and stuff like that. Then we had cute little pets and puzzle worlds. Then we had the robot overlords and stuff like that with buddy cuts too. And now we make a psychological horror game, obviously. So I don't know really where to start. There's Wraith the Oblivion is a IP in the World of Darkness universe, which is an old tabletop RPG. Among other titles in that universe, you might recognize Vampire the Masquerade or Werewolf the Apocalypse, I think, among other titles. And Wraith the Oblivion is one of the lesser known that really hasn't had any content made outside of the tabletop genre before. So we were very happy to be able to make not only the first VR game in World of Darkness, but also the first game ever, or video game ever, for Wraith. And it's a psychological horror game. It takes about 8 to 10 hours to complete. You unravel the story. You play as a photographer called Ann Miller, and before the beginning of the game, you have died, and you have, I shouldn't say resurrected, but you have appeared now as a wraith in what's called the Shadowlands. And you don't know why you died, you don't know how, and you don't really know where you are, but slowly but surely you try to walk into this place called the Barclay Mansion, where you find out that you did die. And so maybe did some other people, and there was some sort of seance, and otherworldly beings started coming to life and or started killing people, and you're trying to puzzle together, okay, why are we here? What happened? How did I die? And yeah, that sort of stuff.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm a game designer on the game. Most of the things I'm working on with is the AI. Again, we are quite a big team, so I haven't really touched on a lot of things, but primarily the enemies of the game, the so-called specters, which are really, really, really pissed off dead people that have lost all of their humanity, basically. And people you don't really want to meet. But yeah.
Is it fair to say that this title is more visually ambitious than your past titles? And if so, how did you approach that?
For sure, yes. So we've always tried to make something that is visually stunning or like impressive in all our titles, but this being our fourth game as a team, we really had the chance to really learn from everything we've done in the past and take it that much further. Also noteworthy is that this is the first game we did in Unreal Engine. We actually switched over from mainly using Unity as a game engine. Primarily because most of the people in Fast Travel are former AAA developers that have used various sorts of in-house game engines in the past, like Frostbite and stuff like that. And a lot of us felt that Unreal Engine feels more at home and more like those things, and it's had a lot of things included out of the box that we didn't feel was good enough or existed, or that we were trying to make ourselves when being in Unity. So with that in mind, and being like a 18-month project basically from concept to finish,
wow.
I'm very glad with the kind of visual quality we managed to achieve.
That's great.
how was the process of transferring from Unity to Unreal? Did you? I mean, you said most of the people felt more at home with Unreal. Was it like like an immediate switch, or was there some learning curve to overcome?
I would say that there's still some learning curve. Like we've obviously, for a lot of people, this was the first game they've shipped in Unreal Engine. So there's a lot of quirks about it, about the engine that they want us to, or they want you to develop in a certain way, and you need to learn that sort of way. But just getting up and running and getting something working and transferring the skills and knowledge that we have over to Unreal Engine was relatively painless. Now, as we go into our coming games after Afterlife, we've learned our basic mistakes with Unreal, and now we really feel that we can get rolling with the engine and actually use it properly, and go even further beyond than what we did here.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
In virtual reality storytelling, I find pacing the action is very important because it's very easy in the VR medium for players to just have sensory and stimulation overload, and then they can't absorb the information, and they're not doing what you want them to do maybe as players. So can you share a little bit about how you chose how to pace the action and integrate that into the gameplay?
Yeah, of course. Being a psychological horror game, pacing is one of the main things that you really need to focus on, more so than even usually in a VR game. And I feel that we succeeded in a lot of ways. We did fail to grab the attention quick enough. A lot of people playing has felt that the build-up feels a bit slow. There's not that sort of action or scare or hook at the start of the game that really sells okay, this is what's coming. But we slowly build attention for about an hour, and then we start actually sending in the horror elements. Important point to make, we from the very outset of the project, we said we don't want to rely on jump scares. There's going to be some jump scares because VR and horror, and it's going to be emergent jump scares, but we don't want to script anything to be I don't know, games like Five Nights at Freddy's and stuff like that. They're good horror games as well, but that's not the kind of style game that we wanted. And that informed our pacing in that we felt that we need to introduce bits and pieces of the story first, make you interested in seeing what happened, and then slowly turn up the encounters and have that proper ebb and flow throughout the game. I'm not sure if that fully answers to how we approach pacing, but essentially we knew that we wanted to make something that's really psychological and gnaws at you, in a way that only a horror game can do. And from the feedback that we have, I think that we succeeded fairly well. It's just that the more thrill-seeking horror fans felt that the beginning was a bit too slowly paced, and we could have done better there, for sure.
Awesome.
So, thinking about the genre of horror games, do you think that this is still, let's say, is there high demand still on this genre? Because with starting of VR, it was quite common because a lot of horror game popped up. And do you see a lot of demand? Because I know that some people say, well, it's a bit too creepy and they're getting too afraid in immersion, let's say. How's your experience with customers in that direction?
I mean, there's definitely demand still, and we saw that there was a there was a lack of the type of horror that we wanted to make, which Afterlife. But I mean, it works in VR for a reason, and that's why a lot of people still come for it. And we're still in the early days of VR, etc., etc. There's still a lot of sharing and having that hook and that instant reaction with someone that's new, when you like put on a headset and like, oh, give him a scare, and you get that feeling of immersion in that way. So yes, there's still a market for it, and I think it's gonna last for a while because we're still always getting more and more people. Like even our older games keep on selling a lot because we have more and more people joining the medium.
Okay.
Oh. You mentioned the development time was 18 months. That's really impressive. Do you start figuring out what the game is at the start and then set how much time and how much budget you have for it? Or do you know, okay, this is going to be our development window and then work within that? How does that work?
We usually have a set development window, and or at least like an intended deadline. So in our earlier games, we've mostly been by ourselves as a studio and like worked on it and had our own deadlines. But in this case, we obviously have the IP owners of World of Darkness, Paradox. So we had to obviously we want to communicate with them about where we're going and what kind of progress we have. And we're pretty good with scoping along the way, like see, okay, we have these and these things that we want to do, but we have this amount of time. Okay, we maybe need to cut this and that. For instance, the entire lowest floor of the mansion was cut like 2/3, and there was an enemy that was cut really early on, just because we saw, okay, this is the time we have left. We won't be able to make that to the level of quality that we want for the game. So yeah, we definitely, even from the outset, we had a rough idea of where we want to ship it, and then we adjust as we go along, but we keep it within that sort of time frame.
Gotcha.
How do you market a game like this?
How do you market a game like this? I mean, in this case, it's been very good to have this huge IP that stands on its own legs outside of VR. There's a lot of anticipation for, as I said, this is the first proper video game in Wraith the Oblivion as a brand, and a lot of people are like, oh, this thing that I've loved for decades is actually coming to something, and that's not the original thing, and I want to experience it in a whole brand new way. So we had a lot of help from that, and trying to bring that audience into VR for the first time. But then also, as we talked about earlier, like horror is a genre that sells in VR because of the intensity that you feel when you play it. And as to specifics on how we marketed it, I'm the wrong person to ask.
Sure.
We have a small but growing marketing team at the studio, so they take care of most of that, and talk to partners and etc. Obviously, we try to reach out to the usual suspects in VR media and Upload VR, etc. But we also try to reach out to as many YouTubers and influencers and other magazines as possible. And compared to other titles that we had in the past, this time we had a lot of outside VR interest because of the fact that World of Darkness is such a huge brand that people saw oh, okay, something really exciting in this new medium in our thing. Let's write about that. Let's talk about that.
Cool.
How did you initially start working with the Fast Travel Games studio, and how has the whole team grown over the past say 5 or 4 games you've worked on?
So I joined in late 2017. I have worked with VR now for, well, since 2015, working as a VR consultant for a bunch of smaller projects. I worked at former Survive Studios, now Enter Interactive, on 2 games there, and then came into Fast Travel just as we were about to launch Apex Construct. And when I started, we were 12 people. And it was very much that. So the studio itself started almost 5 years ago exactly. I think it's now in June that we returned 5 as a studio. And it's grown faster than we had planned for. But as the number of developers, we've grown faster, but we had obviously some hope that VR would grow faster than it has. However, the studio and the investors that came in from the start to fund it and everything, we were all very much aware of this is a multi-year journey. This is not something that will come to fruition and like be millions of dollars overnight. This is something that will steadily keep growing, and everyone involved is aware of that, and we're just trying to grow as a company and as a team, and going from a single project at a time to now, after Afterlife, we have multiple projects at once, and even asking, like, we're trying to find more people all the time to try to keep up with both the demand that we're seeing from externally to us, people being interested in like, hey, okay, you're Fast Travel, you make games that we really like, we want to do this or that, but we also we want to be a studio that have a solid foundation on our own stuff and our own sort of IPs, and trying to balance that, see, okay, what can we make that's really awesome and really cool and fun, both on external things and on our own stuff.
Yeah. And so
there's never enough time.
You were 12 when you joined. How many are you now, and what's the split between developers or media people? Or
so now we are, I think, 36 people, and out of those, I think, let me do a quick head count. 6 of them are not like actively making games. So our CEO, our marketing team, and some IT stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So about 30 developers full time.
Okay.
On different, like everything from concept art to 3D modelers to programmers to designers and stuff.
Yeah.
Are you all across the world, or are you all together geographically?
We are in Stockholm.
Okay.
All except one that's down in Gothenburg, another down in Sweden. Obviously, right now we're all work from home, but we actually got a brand new office back in April that I haven't seen yet because of everything. But yeah, we've grown by at least 10 to 15 people since COVID began. So it's still rolling and getting bigger and bigger. And work from home hasn't slowed us down much at all.
What's the VR scene like in Stockholm? There's a few studios there, right? Did this grow out of the game development scene there, or was VR sort of all converging there in Sweden?
I mean, Stockholm is a very big games hub in general. Like, you have massive studios like DICE and King and Avalanche now even, and it's no surprise that there are a few great VR studios as well. Like there's us, there's Resolution Games, obviously released demo just last week, and among a bunch of great titles. There's Neat Corp, obviously, that we worked with Buddycuts, and then a bunch of like smaller teams that are doing great things. Like this small team doing a thing called Virtuoso, like music experience app that's amazing. So there are definitely a lot of VR developers. I say used to, but technically I am still part of Stockholm Meetup that I helped create back in 2014, and we're over 1,000 members in that. And now it's been a while, like 2 years since we had the last meetup, but because everything. But yeah, there's definitely a big VR scene, not only in games, but even more so, I should say, in the enterprise space and like business to business and stuff like that. A lot of high-tech companies that are wanting to be into VR and AR and everything in between, trying to utilize and see how can they make their businesses better with this.
Yeah, Volvo is doing a lot right now. I've seen that. You see Volvo just got a good research and development team, and they have AR, VR applications now.
Yeah, and there's a lot of teams like that that are building out their own VR and AR spaces internally. I've seen everything from like architecture firm to like Volvo, and IKEA is a great example, even though they haven't really done anything. They haven't done much publicly, but they even released a Steam experience with the IKEA kitchen a couple of years back. So there are a lot of players in Sweden for sure.
Okay. Speaking about that, did the Afterlife guys approach you, or did you guys go to them with the idea and convince them to work on the project?
So it's a little bit of both. Actually, way when Fast Travel got started, our creative director, Eric, he, among the pitches that were like the first ideas for the company, a Wraith game was actually among those pitches. However, the actual like meeting that brought Afterlife to life, pun intended, was a coffee meeting with our marketing director and one of the brand team members over at Paradox last summer, I think. No, not last summer, 2 summers ago, 2019. And that sort of got her balling for this specific game.
Do you
So
think
because
it was... go ahead, Ellen.
Oh, thanks. So because you were making a game based on existing IP, can you share a little bit about your strategy in kind of bringing kind of a new audience into VR that were maybe interested in the content but maybe had never done VR before, and trying to break down the barriers in that way? Can you share a little bit about your approach?
Yeah. So obviously, with such a huge and dedicated fan base like the World of Darkness community, they really, really love the tabletop RPGs and the like whenever the Masquerade Bloodlines obviously has a huge following in the video game space. So we knew it was very important to make something that is true to the Wraith brand, but we also didn't want to alienate anyone that didn't know about World of Darkness at all. So there is a lot of lore and story that we only hint at in the game, but the actual main story and narrative of of Afterlife is a unique story in that setting. So there's a lot of things that we hint at but don't really get into that a lore enthusiast will see in the details and the Easter eggs and stuff like that. They'll get that hint of like, okay, this is my world. This is the world that I'm used to. But players coming in from VR and seeing the game on the store and have no idea about the background, they're not hindered in the gameplay or the actual experience. and we felt that it was very important for us to, being the first Wraith VR game, or first World of Darkness VR game, we didn't want to overload everyone with the lore stuff, at least now at the outset.
Did your full team of developers, like about 30 developers you mentioned, did they all work on that game, or what was the amount of people that worked on Afterlife?
So, as I said, we've grown over the time of development of this, so I would say we've been around 20 to 25 developers, like in-house, and then obviously we have or not obviously, but we have an external audio team called Two Feather Studio. They've been doing the sound design and audio work for all our games in the past, and even on this as well. Then obviously like voice actors, stuff like that, and that's also not including marketing and the brand Evo or at Paradox, stuff like that. But for the main core dev team and Fast Travel, between 20 and 25.
Oh, cool.
You mentioned that each of your games has been very different, and you also mentioned that there's an internal struggle between making your own IP and developing other people's IP. How do you start approaching your projects generally, and what do you think will happen for the next one?
I mean, we've already said that it's going to be different again. Next thing we do, very different. But generally, we're in a comfortable position where we can actually just go with the things that we find fun and that we find interesting, and we have an internal I shouldn't say right system, like it's not really hard coded, but we welcome ideas from within the company as well. So for instance, Curious Tale of Stolen Pets, our second game, was an idea from one of our animators that then took the role as a creative director for that game and made that with a small team in the company. So it comes from within and from outside. And I don't say that it's like a difficult, it's that hard or difficult to choose between. Like, obviously we want to make our own stuff, but the things that we choose to do with the external IPs are always things that we feel passionate about, and like when people come to us with those ideas, we feel like, oh shit, we really need this in VR, or we want to make this happen in VR. So even those projects are things that we really want to work on.
Awesome. Anyone else?
Yeah, I would love to come back once more to the question of, like you said, it's an 8 to 10 hours game. And I'm wondering, how do you scope such a thing? Do you divide it into zones and say, yeah, players, they walk through the corridor for a couple of minutes, they have certain number of interactions in each zone, it should be like a pattern that you have, like there's an intro zone maybe, then there's an action zone, an outro zone. How does it work for you?
So in Afterlife specifically, the Barclay Mansion is essentially an like seamless area. We do locks on doors from the outset and slowly unlock them to make more stuff accessible. But during some points of the game, you have the entire mansion unlocked and you can go freely between them. So the way that we segmented it, since we couldn't like, oh, here's section A of the level and then we load that out and load in the next level, we couldn't do that. So we have the story chapters basically that we have followed, and having the chapter 1 being the intro and getting the first narrative beats and trying a little bit confusing the player of like, okay, what is happening, what's actually going on. Then chapter 2 we start, okay, here's the mystery, here's the thing that we want, here's the first real scare and the real enemy that you need to encounter, and so on and so forth. So we segment it up in story chapters basically, and then we have from the outset we have a intent, like from the very first concept and pitch, we have a proposed length for the game, and then we adjust different parts depending on what we see that we end up with. Like obviously some people will be playing this game through in shorter than 8 hours, but some people play way longer than 10 hours as well. It all boils down to what kind of player you are. If you rush through everything, obviously you're going to be faster, but 8 to 10 hours is like the average player.
Do you have any measure of how many interactions should there be in each zone for the player to feel good in VR? Like, should there be puzzles in each zone and so on? Do you have any measures on that?
We don't have any like specific numbers or anything. And as I said, we did quote unquote fail a bit in the start in having that proper pacing and having that hook to interest all players. And it being a lot slower than maybe it should have been. But everything in the game so far is the way we intended it for. And it's words, second language. Yeah, I'm blanking on the words I want to use. But yeah, it's
okay, that's fine.
Yeah, it's late. Over here in Sweden.
I'm in your time zone, I understand.
Yeah.
Well, was playtesting a big part of the development process? And if so, how did you incorporate it?
So it wasn't as big of a part as we would have hoped because of COVID. Like usually we can bring people over to the office and have people playtest. Again, being a massive games hub in Stockholm, there's a lot of former colleagues and other studios around us that can help playtest and like bring proper feedback. And there's also, like being the capital of Sweden, there's a lot of people that haven't played VR as well that we can bring in for that sort of playtest as well. But
also very important.
Yeah, so we did not playtest as much as we wanted to, or maybe should have, definitely.
Maybe one more. You mentioned multiple times the beginning of the game is maybe not as you would have done it if you have this experience now. What is your approach to changing a game after release? Is this something you would patch in and say maybe we can add an element to also hook the players that need some immediate action, or do you say it's done, we just leave it as it is?
I mean that's varies wildly between titles, but our approach often is just like it is the way we intended it to be. It's just that we, as we didn't playtest it a lot, we didn't see how many people felt that way about the slow start, or the feeling of a slow start at least. It was very intentional to have a slow pace in the beginning, just to have that sort of slow feeling of dread creeping up on you and everything, but as for how we can patch in stuff later, in this game in particular, there's so many intricate story beats and stuff like that that would have to be shifted around, and so I don't think that we'll address it for this. But depending on how you build the game in the first place, and again, this was the first real Unreal game that we did, or for a lot of us that we shipped, so there's a lot of things that we maybe shouldn't have done, that makes it harder to go back and fix some things, because there are I'm trying to figure out how much I can say. Like obviously now we have a launch coming up next week, or the second launch for the game, and we do have a couple of things that we've fixed in the meantime that's going to be released to all platforms then at the same time. But it's mostly major thing or minor things, sorry, or quality of life stuff that we've noticed during both before the launch, but also now the past month that people in real life are actually been able to play it.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming in. That was awesome to hear about.
Thanks for having me.
It looks beautiful. Congratulations on the progress. I hope it does great.
Thank you. And, thank you for having me. And
for sure.
Yeah, reach out on any of the socials and everything if you have other questions later. It is still late, but I'll stick around for a while at least.
Cool.
Awesome.
Well,
Awesome.
Yeah.
we'll,
Thank you.
Thanks, DK.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very
Thanks.
much.
Thank you.
I think some of you know what time it is then. It's time for T-shirt cannon. Okay. All right. Before I shoot this, just a couple things. First of all, thanks so much for everyone coming back. It's great to see a core group kind of forming that's coming every week. And I think that's really important for having the type of community that we want to have. So if you all keep coming, we're going to keep working as hard as we can to get more people in here and more cool stuff to do. One of the couple things on our mind right now is, one, we're reaching out to some of the top schools in the United States, like MIT and Stanford and these places, to hopefully have a recurring event with some of their top researchers. So that's going to add kind of a new flavor to the event, I think. And another thing we're looking into now is bringing in a web browser, because I think that's going to open up a whole world of possibilities when we can all pull up websites, comment, type, that kind of thing. That's going to be really fun.
Cool.
Without further ado, let's gather over here on this wall. All right.
So we're gonna get executed.
Daniel, this is how this works. I'm going to shoot a little T-shirt, and when I say ready, set, go, everyone's going to race at it. And then if you touch it with your hand, you will get a little message, and then you'll get a T-shirt in the mail.
Sweet.
Nice.
Okay.
That's a rose.
Okay, I'm going to say ready, set, VR. Okay, ready? Ready, set, VR.
Yeah.
Oh.
No.
Oh, Thomas.
Thomas, yeah, well done.
Yeah. Cool.
My table, but
Nice, awesome.
Good job, Thomas.
thank you.
Yeah, nice work.
Good job, everyone. Oh, you get a little notification.
Really
Cool,
high
if you
level
catch the T-shirt, you
athleticism.
immediately change your avatar texture.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That one doesn't count.
Nice.
Take it.
I forgot you could teleport at the start. It's the obvious way to do it.
That's funny. Cool. Well, you'll get a follow up from Jesse, and we'll get you the shirt you want. Got a few
Awesome.
cool ones.
Thank you. Really cool.
Cool.
Why did
Well, I
the
may pop out,
animation?
but,
Why did the guys lie down there in the other booth? Do you also have that?
That's a part of the animation, I believe.
He went to bed.
Ah, cool.
even green monsters have to sleep.
Cool.
Oh, yeah, wow, that's cool. Uh-oh.
But I think the animation has slowed down a bit compared to last week, right?
Yeah, it looks a bit different, is it?
Yeah.
Robin
Yeah, I
would
think I
probably
did
know.
change the speed a little bit.
Huh. Yeah, the Medusa is really slow now.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
with scale, the bigger it is, the slower it should be.
Exactly. Think about Godzilla.
Yeah, you don't see Godzilla running around.
I've
he
seen a
doesn't
new
have
one.
to.
He runs around.
The Fred Flintstone feet, just running around.
Yeah.
Together with King Kong. That was awesome. If you're into these movies.
So what about Virtuality Africa?
Yeah, they were supposed to come, but both of them have Quest 1s that were not working.
no.
So we're gonna try and get them in here sometime in the next couple weeks, hopefully, if we can get their systems up and running with Spatial Ape.
My question
But
was
since
on
you already
phone.
have a camera, why don't you make a PC client as well?
We've
That's another
thought about
platform to
that.
support, Michael.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
a
think
lot
the biggest
more
issue
work
is
potentially. I don't know.
yeah,
Another group
don't
of
really
people that
wanna-
might
Sorry.
report bugs.
Yeah, we don't want to launch it until we feel really comfortable with the VR version, because we don't want to kind of support both versions as we're iterating.
DK, how many devices did you use for testing, like different ones? You're now going for Steam VR?
So for Steam VR, I think we have... Obviously, I haven't been a part of that because I'm not in the office. Like, here at home, I'm the one with the most headsets in the company, but that's not my job to port them. But let's see, so there's like the Index, there's Windows Mixed Reality, there's the Vive, the Wands and the Index controllers. There's, I think we did a special one for the G2 as well. Obviously the Oculus ones, since we already have that. I think those are the controller types. Don't quote me on that.
Do you get incentivized by some of the companies to port them preferably?
No, this, like for Steam, this was just like from the numbers that we see on like how many people actually are active with their headsets and stuff like that, and try to have an educated guess on like how many people actually are using those headsets and what's worthy dev time to put in to make the proper controller mappings and stuff like that.
So, also, DJ, when you just launched a new game, do you guys already have plans to have expansion packs or anything? Is that part of your business plan that you would set out initially and plan, you know, the first stage of your game would be the release window you're in now, and with an anticipation that you'll provide future levels maybe for additional revenue?
That really depends on both the type of game that it is, but also on like how good does it sell when it actually launches, and we adjust thereafter. So I don't have any like official word on
Robin. I spoke to
upcoming stuff for Afterlife. But,
I had a call with her a few days ago, and she's
obviously
really
we still have some
recording
like,
some
updates
piano,
at
so
least,
hopefully
for that.
that will happen in the next few weeks at some point.
Depends on.
That's great. I wanted to ask you
how
about
the
it.
launch
So
for Steam VR and
she'll have
eventually
time to do
PlayStation
it,
as well
and
does.
she'll be able to do some for you, or
Are you
Yeah,
satisfied
she said
so far
she's
with the
working
numbers
at the moment on.
you see
I
of
think she's working
players?
on a film score at the moment. Some.
I mean,
Chinese
are you
film.
ever?
How do you
Yeah,
project
exactly.
successful? Like, what is successful, and
Very
what is the
complicated.
corridor
As
where
she
you
said,
say,
in the
okay,
next few weeks
could have been
she should have
better,
some time.
but it's
I mean,
super
it
successful.
is.
She
It
sounded really
is the
keen, so hopefully it will happen.
best launch that we've had so far. I can say that.
That's really cool. Because I mean, I know she also
but
teaches. That's like her main
obviously,
job,
we
and then
always want to
she's getting
sell
some of these
more so that
contracts,
we
so
can
it's cool to
have
hear
more
she's
independence
finding
on
out
what
more
we want to
work,
do with our time in the future.
Yeah, I think that
Like,
the world of
always
VR
more is
music
better in that
still
sense.
in its
Like,
infancy in many ways.
we're a
so she
company
might
after
find
all.
that there's a whole network
But
of people that want to work.
yeah,
with
I
her, and
would
she
say
just wanna
we're
work at it.
happy with
Yeah,
how
absolutely.
well it's gone
Yeah, VR
so far.
music is
Cool.
Yeah, it's one of those genres
Congratulations.
that still needs to be
Thanks.
explored. So.
Sure.
Yeah,
It's
there are
cool.
so
I'm
many
really happy for you.
weird and wonderful projects popping up all the time.
I am happy
It's
for
amazing
Steve.
every time I come across
Yeah.
a game.
Absolutely. I'm
Is there a lot of
super curious to
tension
see
and
the results
crunch time before the
of this
release, or how
recording.
does that work for your
So,
company?
No.
is your software all
No,
set up
we
to do
have a
recording of,
proper like
a
work-life
performance like
balance.
this, or-
We
Yeah,
don't
it's all ready
crunch.
to go.
at
The,
Festival.
the bit that I need
It was
to work
actually
on is
eerily
exporting
calm
the recording
like,
hands and the recording
month
piano from
before
the app.
launch.
So currently you can
Because
watch
there
back the
are
recordings
like a
in
couple of
app.
weeks of leeway
But
before the
I
actual
want to
launch
get it so
because
it's all
of
packaged up in a
QA
nice,
process and stuff like that,
package, and I can
or
import
like
it
launch
into this
preparation.
space or
And like
or
we
anything
want to
else,
get a
or
bill
even
sent out to
Blender, maybe
press
I can
and
do
stuff
some
like that
patches,
before the
then
actual
there's-
launch, so
like
they have
getting
time to
a
play.
clean animation
And so,
or like a
like,
clean FBX with an animation.
the
on it
night
or
of launch
something
was
like this.
very uneventful.
It's easier said than done.
It's just like, oh yeah, oh, we released the game now, right?
It's Thursday. It's cool.
Yeah, and obviously that's a bit
right now you have like a Unity
worse
animation
/ enhanced because of work from home and everything.
Yeah, right now
Like,
I made my
usually
own,
we
like,
have this sort of launch celebration with everyone, but now we had Google Meets Hangout
as well, so
with everyone, just like sharing to the camera and stuff like that.
Into an FBX. There's a lot of complicated translations going on.
And do you think the guys, I forget the company you said that actually is the brand owner
Paradox?
of Paradox, these guys, do you think that they're going to expand also? Do you think that, I assume that it's been a good experience for them too, and maybe they want
Yeah, no, they've really liked both, like, they've liked the game, but they also like the response from the communities as well. Like Paradox as a company, they are in of themselves a huge game studio as well. They make a lot of primarily strategy games and stuff, but they really like what's happened.
Because there's a lot of stuff going on in board games now, like with an integrated, partial, like it's mostly AR, but VR even makes is getting a foot into it. There's
I like the demo game
in
recently.
the Czech Republic called
The demo game from Resolution.
Jazz piano player.
Yeah,
He's
demo.
amazing.
And
fast, so
that's a very interesting space, and especially when AR becomes a thing, having these tabletop integrated systems is really going to be something.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Cool.
I imagine there might be some pieces that will work.
I'm just looking forward to the proper AR glasses and stuff.
Oh yes, that would be huge when it comes out.
When you're doing like
Yeah.
big.
Do you already prepare as a company for AR?
I imagine like there's certain songs.
I mean,
there's certain songs where you'll lose track.
I'm
of
prepared,
the
but
other songs
I wouldn't say
where
that like the company is.
the waltz would probably be fine, but,
I'm the like
basically slow
XR
moving,
VR
no
freak
crossing,
of the company, I would say.
but obviously the more
but,
complicated one sounds better. So
like,
it's a balance between
we would
having
be
a
ready to
good sounding piece
switch
and having
if that
something
would
simple enough that
be a
slow
thing
enough
that we
it
want to do.
tracks and
I
records well.
like for the foreseeable future, we want to be VR like that's where we want to be.
That's you'll see the other hands and.
We don't have any like plans to switch to AR since that happens or anything like
yeah,
that.
how's Cubism coming on?
Okay. Don't you see this
Good, man.
giant
Thanks for asking. I'm working on
possibilities of shift?
localization.
When
It's
you
been
use
surprisingly
AR,
fun to work
especially
on,
mobile
actually, like,
AR,
set up a
because
system,
then you could target
to do
something
it, but I'm
like
also
several
localizing
million
the
more
playable
people
title
that
at the start of the game.
play around
So, like in
the
the
clock,
normal game, it's just
basically, because they
cubism, and
always
it's sort of a
have their
solvable
smartphones, you're not traveling with them.
Well, that depends on
it's
if
also
AR is going to
localized
be on
in
smartphones or
Japanese
that sort of AR that we would want to explore.
So you get like a different.
Like the
Sorry?
AR that we have today is,
I have a
while
team
interesting
of
and
people who do
definitely something that we
localization, and
could do stuff with,
I tell them how
we even
to
experimented a bit
translate, like,
for
and then they give me,
Curious
like,
Tale of Stone
characters,
Pits with
and then I
like
try to
small
translate
diorama
that into,
islands
like,
and having that and walking
and
around
I
it
check
with the
out, like,
phone,
is this,
like being
reachable or
hooked.
not?
And that's
It's been a bit
fun,
of a
but
back
there's
and
not
forth.
really
It's quite fun to work on.
the market for it yet.
Did you have
or
to go back and
expectation
start a lot
from
of different
players
stuff
yet.
to build that in, or did you build, like,
And
did you allow for
whatever
that at the
comes
start?
with glasses and stuff like that for
No,
AR,
no,
that's going to have to
Luckily, I don't
prove
have too
itself
much text in the game, so
in a way.
Definitely.
it's not too bad.
Yeah.
That must be there.
For other games, I think
Yeah.
if you don't do it from the start,
They have the
it's
stuff with
still-
Apple now, where you can take an
Pretty much just,
iPad or
yeah,
iPhone,
and stuff,
and you can
and here and there,
have
like
somebody
English
who's
is
not in
relatively
the
short when it comes to the long words are,
in the VR world see the same things that is
Can I join
visible.
you
You can
guys?
share that
Yeah,
experience.
hey Robert.
That's that's kind of a foot in the
I
right
would
direction, I
like
think.
that.
For that.
But yeah, no, and there's a lot
Yes,
of
it's new,
feet
I
in the
love
right direction, like
Robin
all
did a great
across,
job here.
not just from
Sure.
Apple,
Nice.
Yeah, we
but
got
for
there.
stuff
It's not, it doesn't
and
look as
a
good
lot
as
of
it does in
individual people
traversal
as well.
games. You should definitely check it out in game. But,
I'm really
once
looking
we
forward
got
to
the
AR,
textures
but
working on
just
the blocks, it
it's
looks a lot better.
Nice. Wait, you can actually
Yeah,
go in?
not today.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Have a
see
look.
that.
That
Wait,
makes
yeah,
sense.
yeah,
Sure. Cool.
Can I? Does it?
Very interesting.
That's coming next week.
So, do you have any advices for
Oh no.
students,
going?
people who are just at the beginning of founding their own VR company?
I would say prototype a lot, see what sticks, see what's actually fun to play, and expand upon that. there's still a lot of unproven ground and a lot of things that people haven't done yet in VR space. So there's still a lot of opportunity, even for a very small team, to do something that really hits home with a lot of players. And like, I have a lot of ideas myself that are like, oh my god, why haven't someone made a great JRPG or something like that? But obviously a team of like 2 people won't be able to do that. But there are other genres and other ideas that are still avenues that you could explore and do something that's really good. Even with a
we're
real...
trying to found with our game Help Yourself. We think the mechanic is quite unique in VR. Like, it's a combination of shooter and puzzle genre, and you clone yourself to work with yourself in a team.
Okay.
And use through timelines, so you can throw a bullet or a magazine to your future or past self, and you have to think before you do something, because there are, for example, 5 timelines, and you know that's the first clone, that's the second, I need to do this in that time, that the last clone can shoot the enemy, and so on.
And then you probably just need people to actually understand how to use that in a good way. Get some like really good level design, basically. Seeing like, okay, how can we maybe just do one clone first, and then for the next section do another, and so on and so forth, until we get that, like, okay, people have to, again, the thing that we really didn't do was getting the hook from the beginning, and for Afterlife at least, and having that something that's just, obviously having a clone that does what you do, that might be good enough for a hook, but it also needs to be something that plays well and people want to come back to and play.
Yeah, we have quite some problems with explaining the mechanic to new people, the people who already played it. They're on SideQuest. We have, I think, over 20,000 downloads right now.
Nice.
And they know the game and they like it, but all the people who don't know the game, we have really problems to tell them what you're doing in the game, because it's quite a confusing game mechanic.
Yeah.
And we have
then you probably need to have something that helps explain that in what you actually do, and then be able to record that and present that in a good way. Obviously, I haven't played the game, so I wouldn't be able to bring any feedback on that right now, but see, okay, try to record people playing it for the first time and see where is that moment where people go, aha, okay, this is what we do, and try to okay, how can we replicate that moment as soon as you enter the game, or preferably as soon as you see images or video of the game, even before the bit.
Yeah, totally. That's a good idea. We need to do that.
Like, always recording gameplay sessions is gold. Like, it's amazing what you can learn from that.
Yeah, we have gameplay play testing sessions in our university. Just like today we had one, because tomorrow is the final presentation of our project. But we've never thought about recording someone else playing it and then, analyze it. How did they play, and when was the point? Oh, they got it, and so on. That's a nice tip. Thanks.
Problem.
I mean, it's always good to throw people in without even helping them, right? Just so to see how they mainly get them. Let's say get them at the point, or how quick they get at the point where it clicks, where they understand the game, and maybe also get very see the fun in the game.
For sure.
The later that happens, the more basically the later that happens, that click happens, then it might get to the point where they lose the motivation or so. or you have a good story that pushes you through until you are at that game mechanic that makes the game the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right now the first level you play are the tutorials, and we all know in our team that tutorials, they need rework because they're very slow and you don't quite get the mechanics, and I think that's the point where most of the people who download the game just stop playing.
So for instance, you have the clone mechanic instantly, or is that something that you like from the tutorial immediately you have the clone and you can do stuff with that, or?
Again, please?
Oh, in the tutorial, do you have the first clone immediately? Or is that something that you learn? Because I'm thinking that maybe you need to have some sort of other mechanic that you do yourself, and then you get into a problem where you see that, oh, I need some help to do this. Oh, here's that can do this, etc. Maybe structuring it in such a way could help.
Yeah, we did that in the teaser, but the tutorial right now uses actually a pre-recorded clone that teaches you how to grab something and to do something with the object, with the buttons, and the second step is use this spawn point for the first time and then use the other one, and then you can see yourself doing the thing you did and shoot all the bullet points, build the things to get the level done.
Okay. Maybe you need to segment that out a bit more so that you have first thing that you grab, and then the next level you have just the shooting element and stuff like that. You just like make it more bite-sized and slowly learning the game. Not maybe there's information overload at the beginning, and seeing the other clone being pre-recorded and like, okay, what's that and what do I need to do, and there's too much.
It's really hard for us to do that because we already know how to do all that. So really need to get new people here and let them test it.
Really
what's the problem? What are you thinking right now? Totally, yeah.
Or maybe really you have to wrap it into a story that the player enters and gets something told within 20 seconds, let's say. A very short story, like imagine you will be a clone in a different world. What could you do? Like make it like a story that people can just jump into it, content-wise, and then give them at least one creative attempt to this concept to say, imagine how cool it is to do this thing. So from that point on, they can think about, oh, how could I really utilize that, right? Yeah. Just to make them curious about it. I think that's the most important thing. Instead of, oh, I have to learn something, somebody wants to show me and I just want to play. It's more like discover something and be able to be creative with that, I think.
Absolutely, yeah. It's our on our to-do list to include a basic, a small story around the world. Why are you here? Who made you? Why can you clone? And it's a great idea that in our story it's Mother Nature tells you why are you here and why are you fighting the robots. To make a combination out of it with you can clone and look what you can do. Just try it out. It sounds like much more fun.
Yeah, but it grabs the curiosity of people, I guess.
Yeah.
And obviously you can do the opposite way, do something like Portal does really well, which just dropping you into something and questions that slowly get answered as you go along. But that's interesting environmental storytelling that explain, but it gives you bits and pieces that make you go, huh, okay, but why is this, etc.
Yeah, that's more the discovering past, like getting step by step and getting more and more and more in the end.
Yeah, we need to prototype that all out and test it. We need to do that really badly.
Yeah,
Thanks for
So
the
good luck for tomorrow.
tomorrow.
Yeah, good
What?
luck. Yeah, for your presentation.
Oh, thanks. It was a lot of work the last 2-3 weeks because all the assets need to be done, and my programmers tried to do new levels, new features, and of course the build has to run on the Quest too because they always forget this. And yeah, let's see how it goes tomorrow.
Yeah, good luck.
Thanks. After that, I will just sleep.
Go to vacation.
Yeah. So, DK, I don't quite remember. Does Afterlife also run natively on the Quest, or is it, let's say, like PC powered?
It's run Quest.
It runs natively on the Quest. Okay. How was the optimization process when changing to a different engine, and then making it, let's say, running in a good performance on the Quest with that fidelity, graphical fidelity?
It's not that different in theory. What you do in Unity helps very much the same way in Unreal as well. It's a lot of optimizing textures, optimizing poly counts, like even the way how triangles are stretched out or not helps with some sectioning off different parts of the mansion so that it loads in as little as possible at all times to help with stalling and stuff like that. There's a lot of just general good game design and optimization techniques that's really engine agnostic.
Okay. Do you think that the Unreal Engine? Sorry. Do you think that the Unreal Engine helped you to make things? I think you mentioned something like that. It brought already stuff that, let's say, would mean for Unity you have to develop some stuff on top of that. Do you think you got quicker in developing with the Unreal Engine?
So, personally, yes. They do have some systems that I'm trying to think of a actual example, but I'm blanking on it right now. But for instance, it was easier for me as a designer that don't really dabble in code that much, especially C++ code, to get something up and running really soon with the AI features that they have and sensory systems that they have out of the box. But there was a lot of stuff in, especially with programming and tech, that they were looking forward to. I don't have a good example of what those things were. I just know that they were very happy and saved a lot of time as a result. But there are some things that we still, for instance, the streaming system that they're using on Unreal, we felt wasn't really optimized enough for native Quest. So we ended up doing a pseudo our own system to help out with that. So, no engine is perfect. A lot more people felt more at home in Unreal than on Unity in the team, but obviously there's still things that Unreal and Epic didn't account for when making the engine that we have to do when we make a mobile VR game and multi-platform VR game.
Yeah.
But yeah, with that, I have a morning meeting, and it's 40 minutes before midnight, so I'm gonna go to bed.
Okay. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for being here.
And
thanks for being here.
Yeah. Bye.
See you around.
Bye
Have a good night.
See you.
Der Rest ist
ihr
jetzt
werdet
verschwunden,
gehen.
oder was?
Hm? Alles ins Weg, ja.
Ich dachte, die sind alle darüber gelaufen und hängen jetzt im Traversal fest für alle Zeiten.
Oh.
Also bei mir ist irgendwie der Collider wieder verschwunden.
Ernsthaft?
Ich kann mich kaum bewegen hier auf dem Ding. Ich habe quasi Panik runterzufallen. Wir müssen, was
Schub's
passieren
ihn, schub's
müsste. Ja, es erinnert mich so, in Outspace hatten wir ja hier die, Carnivore hat ja irgendwie so eine Welt vorgestellt, House of Khan. Und da ist es so, dass, wenn du halt nicht rechtzeitig oder wie auch immer du da langläufst, wirst du halt in so einer Art,
weggeschoben, ja.
so eine Art, Strafkeller, ich weiß nicht, was es war, geworfen. Das müsste hier auch passieren. Also, dass man dann wie so ein Gulag gefangen ist. oder so. Und im besten Fall damit hier in so einem Traversal-Labyrinth wieder herauskriechen.
Wieder auftauchen.
Ja. So was in der Richtung. Das wäre gut.
Ach ja, was ist das? Warst du eigentlich auch noch gerade eben bei der XA Bavaria-Geschichte?
Ja, ich habe aber nicht gedacht, war ein bisschen überrascht, dass es so lange geht. Oder so lange
über
gegangen
2
ist.
Stunden war es.
Ja. War
Aber
aber viel
viel
Interessantes
Neues.
dabei, ja.
Ja, richtig was Neues nicht, aber es ist...
Ja. Gut, aber man kriegt mal mit, ne, was im AR-Sektor noch so passiert.
Ja. So ist das. Na fein. Ja, dann bin ich mal gespannt. Viel Spaß morgen.
Ja.
Danke.
Und dann spätestens übermorgen sehen wir euch dann im Oculus Store, hoffe ich doch mal.
Ja. Mindestens. Also,
Mindestens.
wäre schon sehr spät.
Ja, zum Beispiel. Ne, kick einfach Beat Saber raus von seinem Platz und gut ist.
Ja. Werden wir machen. Ich will mir da noch gerade schnell die E-Mails schnappen, weil ich sammle die irgendwie. Ich finde das ganz cool.
Mhm.
Komm mal. Yes.
Sie ist jedenfalls mutig.
Was meinst du damit? Achso, mit dem Rumlaufen.
Könnte ja auch in die Hose gehen, wer weiß.
Ach Quatsch. Nee, es geht schon. Na, das müssen sie tatsächlich mal fixen hier.
Ja, ich würde einfach mal einen zweiten Boden einziehen. Fertig. Wenn die
Ja,
das
das
nicht
ist
hinkriegt,
eigentlich die Lösung scheint ja irgendwie so einfach, aber ich glaube, weiß ich nicht.
Ja. Es gibt für alles eine Lösung. Ja.
Weiß nicht, wenn man durch den Boden fällt, für mich ist das immer so ein Zeichen, ja, langsam sollten wir alle aufhören. Und schlafen gehen.
Und irgendwie sowas mit einem Reminder. Mehr als eine Dreiviertelstunde in VR sollte man nicht verbringen. Und dann. Vielleicht sollte man einfach danach wechseln auf eine AR-Anwendung oder sowas. Dann hat man so eine Abwechslung da drin.
Ja, oder ich weiß nicht, Leute dürfen sich halt nicht bewegen oder müssen sich bewegen eine gewisse Zeit lang.
Ja, noch gemeiner ist es ja,
in VR.
wenn der Boden weg ist, dann mit der T-Shirt-Kanone loszulegen. Ne?
Stimmt, genau.
Und alle in die Richtung schicken.
Ich werde dann auch gehen. Ich muss mal was essen. So.
Ah, ja,
Oh,
genau. Das
ja.
ist auch die richtige.
Das ist die richtige Zeit dafür, ja.
Bis nächste Woche.
Genau. Man
Ja,
sieht
bis
sich.
nächste
Viel
Woche.
Spaß.
So,
Ciao,
viel
ciao.
Spaß und viel Erfolg
Bis dann.
morgen.
Genau.
The model and say, change.
Hey, cool.
Seems like a good way to
But
do it.
typically,
Yeah.
you don't need that. The high-level component. Climbing works. You simply create a prefab and you add a climbable component on it. Has no
Nice.
parameters. It's simply climbable.
Yeah.
and that's it.
And so
nice.
climbing is like a good way to extend the space as well, I guess. Because when you're climbing, you're staying static, I suppose, right? And you like you do like a crossover hands until you reach the next ledge, and then you're still standing in the same spot, or how does it?
Exactly.
How does
So
the
there are two
mechanic work?
types
Yeah.
of zone extensions. One is the moving platforms, which move you
Yeah.
away to a different zone.
Mhm.
And the trick is to end up at the exact same spot.
Right.
And with climbing, it's exactly the same mechanics. Just you're moving yourself instead of the platform is moving you. And this is why it was so fast to implement, because last year I spent a lot of time on moving platforms. And now I simply said, let's
camera behind
simply
you, by the
do an
way.
or.
You're on TV, Robert.
I saw a floating hand here, so
Where did the
Sneaky
camera come
Tony.
from?
Just crept up on you. He might have been there all along. I don't know.
yeah.
Found his way in the labyrinth. Yeah.
The walls have eyes.
Oh, there he goes. Sorry, you were saying.
Cool.
Yeah, we still see you, Tony.
It's like a game in itself. Find the camera.
yeah.
Nobody's fallen through the floor this time, which
Was-
I'm quite
Yeah.
happy about.
Yeah,
I was gonna
it's
say
An hour and a half in, and nobody's fallen.
past
looking forward to
11,
that.
Yeah, that's the best part.
It was usually at 11, right? Like, wasn't it like a minute past 11 that everybody?
I think it happened nearly an hour in last time, nearly exactly an hour in, which made me think that there was some kind of on-the-hour server cleaning up or something happening. But this
Interesting.
time,
Maybe
nothing.
we're safe in this zone. Maybe the traversal is
And maybe everyone
has
else
the
is.
space to fall through.
We're gonna try and find our next guests.
I wonder if anyone's actually
Thomas,
still
was there any
around.
guidance from Oculus on the publishing process of like, hey, you should improve your screenshots, you should do this and that, and
Any like
also
feedback on
hints
the?
to your games, like should you do something, change something in your game, and so on.
Oh wait.